Welcome everybody to the USC Career Center's Virtual Employer Summer Summit. Today, the topic of the summit is understanding the international student experience. And I'm very excited about the content of the summit today. We have some wonderful alumni and student, international alumni and student panelists from USC. And we also have two fantastic employer speakers who will be sharing some best practices about hiring international talent. So to make sure we have enough time for everyone to speak, I want to go ahead and get started. So a quick overview of the schedule for today. So I'm going to do a brief intro on the value of international talent just to set the stage for our conversation today. And then we'll go into the panel with on the international student experience with our international student and alumni panelists. I will share a little bit about how the USC Career Center supports international students. And then we'll have our two employer speakers talk about hiring international talent. And at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A. If there's additional time, depending on how quickly the panel goes, we may also take a couple of Q&A questions after the student and alumni panel. So let's go ahead and get started. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the value of international talent. So I think hopefully many of you here are aware of the value of international talent because you've hired international Trojans or alumni before. But in case if you haven't done it before, I would like to just talk about why international students and graduates can be such a great addition to your talent pool. So for one thing, if you open your hiring to international talent, you'll have an expanded talent pool that includes international students who have top in-demand skill sets, including multicultural communication, language skills, adaptability, drive, and perseverance. USC graduates in particular are known for their leadership and excellence. International employees bring with them firsthand knowledge of their home country's markets and consumer behavior, which can help your business understand and meet the needs of a more diverse consumer base. In a 2018 study, Boston Consulting Group found that organizations with above average diversity on their leadership teams reported 19% more innovation revenue and 9% higher earnings before interest and taxes than those with below average leadership diversity. Among the 6 dimensions of diversity that BCG measured, one of the top contributors to these positive outcomes was diversity in national origin. So hiring international students can make you competitive globally and increase innovation and productivity on your team. Also, bi or multilingual employees can contribute to better customer service because they can communicate more effectively with customers who speak their native language. In marketing, writing, and web development roles, they also have the capacity to grow a company's online presence through multilingual and culturally sensitive content. A 2021 study by scientists from Stanford and Cambridge also suggests that bilingual adults have improved soft skills. They can switch between tasks and process information more easily than individuals who only speak one language. So with that said, I am pleased to introduce our international Trojan panelists. I'm really excited to share actually all our panelists today are women, which is a coincidence, but that just goes to show that women are awesome. I would like to invite the panelists to introduce themselves first, and then we'll jump into the questions. So starting alphabetically with Amber, could you please share your name, USC affiliation, and some details about how you found your current job?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. This is Amber, a graduate student majoring in digital social media at the Annenberg School at USC. And I will be graduating in December 2023. So for my current job, I'm interning at Voted, which is a sports prediction social app company. And in this role, I am responsible for product marketing and user experience research. And actually, I found this job through our Annenberg Job and Internships of the Day email letter. It is a remote position. And I would say like those email letters helped me a lot. They have been immensely helpful in keeping me informed about relevant opportunities in my interested industry. I really appreciate it.
Is Jayati here?
Yes, hi.
Oh, great.
Hey, hi, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. This is Jayati. I did my master's in computer science from Viterbi School of Engineering. I'm a recent graduate and I just graduated in fall 2022. Currently, I'm working in US Bank. I'm a data engineer, a full-time employee. I found this job via Grace Hopper Conference 2022. It was really great. I enjoy my work here at US Bank San Francisco office. I'm part of a great team. So many opportunities are available for me. And currently I'm working to build a product with state-of-the-art generative AI models. Everything is going really great. That's a bit about me. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mansi. I think I'm next. I did my master's in computer science and graduated in peak of pandemic, which was May 2020, and straight went ahead into full-time job as a technical program manager at Facebook, now known as Meta. I've been there for over 3 years now. And currently I drive privacy program for a developer infrastructure org, which is a group of 1,000+ engineers. And yeah, that's about me. And I'm currently located in Seattle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma. I graduated from the Bachelor of Architecture program in 2020. And I'm currently working at AC Martin full-time as an architecture designer too. I'm also an associate for my firm. And the way I found this job was kind of interesting because I graduated during the middle of the pandemic. Almost all the places were having like either layoffs or freezed hiring. I actually applied to a different firm that was not really hiring, but luckily the person who saw my application forwarded it to his spouse who worked in the same industry but a different firm, and that was how I got this job offer. Okay, that's it.
Thank you so much, Emma. Hi, everyone. My name is Vaidehi, and I'm majoring in computer science from Viterbi School of Engineering. And I'm expecting to graduate next year, that is in May 2024. And currently, I'm interning at Goldman Sachs in the global markets and banking division. And I'm currently in the Salt Lake City office as an engineering summer analyst intern. And I found this job by applying on the portal and then appearing for the assessments and then the interviews. Thank you so much.
Thank you, panelists. So let's go ahead and move into our International Trojan panel questions. So the first question is, what qualities do you seek in an employer? And if you are employed, what attracted you to your current employer? So Amber, do you want to start with this question?
Sure. So I think the top 3 qualities that are important to me are first, exposure and growth opportunities, second, network, and third, diversity and inclusion initiatives. And I will explain why each quality is important to me. So first, about exposure and growth opportunities, I would say, to be honest, in the past, when my resume was a blank slate, I really care about if my employer had a big name, where I could possibly get more exposure on bigger platforms. And I also hope that my experience with a big name could lead me to the next big opportunity. But now it doesn't matter as much to me, especially after working for both big name like CBS, and now currently my employer is a startup like Voted. I realized that what truly matters to me as an employee is the opportunity for personal growth and development. So another example I would bring here is one of my best friends, Kitty, who recently started her full-time job at Adidas in China, but they haven't given her any tasks in her first 2 weeks. And she called me and complained about like feeling really depressed, sitting at a desk and doing nothing. So in the end, I would say as an employee, I feel more accomplished when my employer sees my value, know what I'm capable of doing, trust me, assigns responsibility, and provides feedback and recognition. So to translate this to employers, it means utilizing talents effectively, especially for new grads and entry-level positions. I would say that we're fearless and eager to prove ourselves. So I would say like maybe setting up some trainee program and signing mentors and providing meaningful tasks will be really attractive to us. And second, network. So I really love working with leaders and colleagues from whom I can learn professionally, and that requires an inclusive environment for networking. I would say like setting up lunches together in the first week really help. And, maybe having some regular gatherings, either weekly or bi-weekly, will definitely be attractive to new grads who are eager to grow professionally. For example, CBS did this really well for their internship program. They had lectures and sharing sections on how to build a portfolio and how to grow a network effectively. And last but not least, inclusion. I would say that for 80% of the companies I have applied to, few of them realize how easy it is to hire international students. It's just like hiring a local candidate if they have a STEM major. And I would really appreciate it if a company wouldn't filter us out simply because we click yes on the questions of whether we would need a sponsorship in the future. Though I kind of admit that sponsoring in H-1B visa is not cheap, but I think like just as Eddie said, if you need international talent, the process is actually pretty straightforward and the outcome will definitely worth it. And yeah, that's the 3 qualities that I matter the most.
Thank you, Amber. I appreciate your thorough answer to that. Emma, would you like to jump in and answer this question as well?
Yeah, sure. So for me, the most important quality probably is the same as like most of the international students. With a sponsorship. So same as Amber mentioned, the visa sponsorship is actually quite straightforward. I think it's actually very important for a company to have a clear and straightforward way of explaining they are going to provide it, or even if they are not willing to provide it, it would be great if they can just give the straight up answer upfront. So it's like easier for us to decide if we don't want to like continue with this application. And maybe it's also because like I have been working for a few years. I think it's also pretty important for the company to have a assigned person to deal with the international employees with application continuously, because sometimes HR comes and leaves, and when there are times when like some HR left right before the H-1B lottery, or kind of like at a critical time that is important for all the international employees, but the new person will really not be able to pick up all the previous work like in time, which would be really kind of disaster for a lot of employees, and which do lead to people to leave the company immediately. And the second factor I think is the most important is actually the portfolio of this company, which means what kind of projects and what kind of like phrasing or design method the company is like currently performing. For example, for all my previous jobs, I worked for more like international with like large scale high-rise design, and they usually don't really focus on like US market. But after graduation, the firms I work for are more like California local, focusing on like local higher education or like local California government buildings, which gives me the chance to get my professional experience in like all different phrasing of design, focusing on the job market like locally in Los Angeles. It's pretty important for me because I kind of experienced a time when a lot of international global firms started to lay off like almost like half of their employee, and a local and stable job opportunity is kind of like the most important concern for me.
Thank you, Emma. So let's move on to the next question. The next question is, what is something that employers could do to make the recruitment process easier for you? So Emma and Amber talked about this a little bit, but Jayati, would you like to share anything about this question? Are you there? Is Jayati there?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was speaking on mute. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, so I was just saying that I'm a recent graduate, so I have been through the process very recently, and then that definitely I have like literally bullet point which I can talk about here. So the very first thing would be like a clear job description. So providing a detailed and accurate job description that is very important, because it not only helps a student or a person who is applying for the job to understand that what would be the responsibilities, what are the expectations, and what are the qualifications which an employer is looking into. With this, we can also understand that what would be our interview process, that what kind of topics will be asked, because sometimes, especially if it is like a machine learning role or a data engineer role, the scope is just so wide that preparing for an interview becomes difficult, And then a clear job description is also helpful in identifying whether I really want to apply for this job or not. It's beneficial for the employer and for the employee, for both of them. Another point which I have is like a streamlined application process. So a clear communication that, okay, these are going to be the steps, these many interviews we are going to go through, and then also eliminating any repetitive steps, like, for example, if there is like, I don't know how to say it. So like sometimes there's like an online test we give. So they have like a couple of online tests. So maybe like we can just bring it into one online test or something like that, So sometimes that also helps, because we as a student, we apply for so many jobs, we have so many interviews, so it becomes very difficult to juggle amongst all those interviews. Whether he is giving me a smile, so I think she agrees to me there. The third point is a transparent timeline and communication. So transparent timeline, as in like how long this process is going to take, when is the first interview, by when can we hear back, and so this is also very important, and keeping in touch with the person who has applied, in touch with the applyee, and last is the candidate feedback. A lot of employers, I understand that, okay, there are like literally thousands of people are applying for the jobs, and giving them feedback is difficult. But I would have really appreciated if I am not getting selected, or if, so a feedback is very important, because sometimes it just makes, we keep wondering, okay, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? So I think these 4 points I would like really stress on. Thank you so much. That would be all for me. Yeah.
Thanks, Jayati. Vaidehi, would you like to answer this question as well?
Sure. Yeah, so I think elaborating on Jyati's points, even I feel that there are these certain things that the employers could do to make this a little bit easier for us. So one thing I believe is similar to what Jyati said, streamlining the application process. So I think employers should clearly mention in the job description the requirements, like the visa status or the required experience from the candidates. So I think by doing so, the job seekers like us can assess the eligibility before investing the time and efforts to apply to the positions, to appear for the assessments and the interviews as well. And I think it would be good for the employers as well, since even they can ensure that only the qualified and eligible applicants can proceed throughout this process. That's one thing that I can think of. Another thing I would say is reducing the redundant application steps. So I've seen that a lot of times within the same company, there are multiple positions available. And if you wish to apply to multiple positions, you have to fill out these dedicated separate forms for each of them. And most of the times, they're asking for the same information like your name, your background, your work history, your education history. So I think what employers could do is have a separate portal where there would be basic information for a candidate. And maybe they would allow us to update or add customized resume for each of those positions. So I think that way it would save a lot of time for us and even for the employers to actually go through the information, which is just repetitive across all the positions. The next thing I think of, similar to what Jayati said again, I think communication and transparency are also important throughout this recruitment process. So I think employers could make it a priority to keep the candidates updated at every stage. So even if it's rejection, I think we would really appreciate if we get it straight away instead of being left in sort of an uncertainty as to when to expect the next steps, what is going to be happening. So I think keeping the candidates updated at every stage will definitely help us. And it will also foster some positive candidate experience and it will enhance the employer's reputation as well. And the last point that I can think of is having a clear timeline. And I understand that it might not be possible all the time because even the employers get a lot of candidates and the requirements keep changing. But having some reasonable or even an approximate timeline would really help us because like us job seekers face a lot of anxiety a lot of times and we don't know when to expect next interview, when to expect the next step. So I think having this reasonable timeline would definitely help us. That's all from me.
Thank you so much, Vaidehi. I just wanted to address, there's a quick question from an attendee on when candidates are looking at job postings on LinkedIn or company site, where are you looking to see that the position is eligible for visa sponsorship? And Vaidehi mentioned that she wanted it in the job requirements. Is that the same for all of you? Is there another location on the job posting that would make it clearer? One thing I can say to address this question is in Connect SC, which is USC's proprietary job search platform, there is a question that asks candidates as well as employers. So for the employer side, it asks, will this position now or in the future require visa sponsorship? And that just means that, you know, basically, is it open to, would you be open to sponsoring a candidate who is international for their work visa if they are the top candidate for this position? And so employers who are open to both, you know, domestic and international students will select yes and no to that question. So that's open to both. And for international candidates, they would select yes on their end. Yes, I will require employment visa sponsorship now or in the future, which means that, you know, they, you know, they're indicating in advance that that's something that would be needed. And so if you're willing to do that, you know, that will automatically allow them to apply for your position. And if you're not willing to, they'll get filtered out. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, so let's move on to the next question. The next question is, if you have experience working in the US, what were some challenges you faced as an international student adapting to US work culture? Mansi, would you like to start with this question?
Yeah, sure. So I think I classify the challenges that I faced working as an international student trying to adapt to US culture into two categories. One is everything that has to do with visa, which I think everybody has already talked about. We need visa sponsorship. And I think it goes beyond that. In some cases, the visa that we get applied for has a duration. And we also want to have more clarity around what goes on if that visa expires or we get denied that visa. Like having that clarity from the employer is very important for me as an international student to make a call whether I want to stick around longer or should I look for another opportunity where they would be able to support me longer. So I think one of the biggest challenges I have faced is visa problem. And just to go by my experience, when I was applying for my OPT for me to go and work for Meta, Facebook, my OPT got delayed, but the immigration team and the other folks, the hiring manager and everyone were so flexible with all the changes that were happening because it was right peak of pandemic. There was a big backlog. They were okay pushing my starting date out. So like having that empathy that there are some things that are completely out of control from visa perspective as an international student is also very important for me. The one last thing that I'm still trying to figure out what happens is, like I called out, like once I got OPT, I got my H-1B figured out, the next thing was, okay, my H-1B expires in like 6 years, what next? And even before that, recently we've been seeing H-1B denial rates for reapplications as well. So what are my options is another very important thing that I wasn't aware about until I got into the workforce. And I'm glad that my employer was very receptive of all my questions and helping me connect with the immigration team. But that's definitely the kind of culture or support an international team needs, where you can be flexible, empathetic to the situation, as well as provide them guidance on what options they have with their current visa status. The other challenge that I face has got to do with the cultural shock. So obviously, when you move from a completely different country to US, you do not know where to go buy your groceries, how does transportation work, all of that stuff. But in employer terms, that's like, how does taxation work? How do I set my taxation levels? Or like, what is 401k? What is health insurance? What is HSA? What benefits I get? All of these information are not clear to an international student because we've never been here long enough to understand or grasp those things. So providing more guidance on how you can build your financial wealth, and also providing them guidance on how does medical system works here would be really helpful. And I'm glad my employer was able to support me on that. And then the other thing related to cultural shock was building network. So the way networks are built in US are very, very different from my country where I come from, which was a very big shock for me. But how my employer helped me out with this was they allowed a lot of interactions within the company and outside the company. So they would sponsor me to go to professional networks, to attend conferences, build network outside the company, as well as provide social settings within the company virtually when I was during pandemic, and now in person, to go connect with people that are in my role or not in my role, working in similar domain and areas, and try and see what's going on and build a strong network that I can rely on if things go bad, especially in the current market situation. So those are my challenges and how my employer helped me tackle them.
Thank you, Mansi. Jayati, would you like to answer this question?
Damn, I was again on mute. Anyway, I think Mansi has covered all those points like really, really well. I agree that the H-1B process, I have just started my work here. So I have not yet part of the H-1B thing, but people like, oh, just wait when that starts. If you are on OPT, have fun, go visit countries, go crazy. So they have told me that, okay, beware of it. It's going to happen to you as well. So I totally agree with Mansi, like the things which she has, the concerns which she raised, and how it is important because, being in a company and going through all these new changes, and it directly impacts your life. If you get an H-1B, you are here. If you don't get an H-1B in 60 days, you find a job or something like that, or you have to go back. So it really impacts an international student's life. and the life choices they want to make, how they want to live. So yes, for H1B and stuff, the kind of support which Mansi got from her company, I wish to all of the international students, they get such support. That's really important. Second point is 401 health benefits. These are the exact points I was planning to talk about. And yeah, yes, okay, so after this visa thing, all these medical benefits, health benefits, dentist, ophthalmologist, I don't know, and then 401 pension plan. I was like, oh my God, I literally used to talk to like HRs. Now we have GPT, chat GPT, so the process was a bit easier for me to understand. I will give it to generative AI. But still, I mean, like for every company, things work differently. They have different portals, they have different norms, the kind of health insurances are provided. So that I would raise that. Yes, so the kind of health insurances are provided to an employee from an employer is very important. It affects my health, it affects my well-being. And if you have a family, it affects your family's well-being. It's costly. I mean, you cannot just go out and get your result checked. So I would say yes, providing good health insurance is very important. Then yes, the language, the communication, networking. So in my company as well, when I joined, it was a little difficult for me, but luckily for first 1 month, I was I was going to the office every day. So my team was there. My teammates were really helpful. So we planned outings. We planned team outings. It was planned from the HR, I guess. And then there is a new hire forum we have. So every 2 weeks, we connect all the new hires from that semester, from that 6 months, we connect. They also gave us a chance to present our work. So I am a research assistant. I was a research assistant USC. So I got to promote my work, got to show that, what I have learned, what I have done. And then the scope of it was huge. I mean, it was like an organizational level forum which I got to present my work. So that made me feel really good and really welcomed, that I am being appreciated, and people reach out, they clap, they send you small text messages, oh, you did great, so this kind of inclusion, so yeah, I think it's been great here at US Bank for me. KT sessions, obviously, like all of them, all the companies do that. So yeah, so I think if I just categorize it, the first part is the processes which we follow. If we can get support in understanding them and get some help in making decisions, that's one thing. And then second part is inclusion, because I am one person and there's 100 of people out there. So how they look at me, how can I connect with them, how I am being involved. Or for freshers, I was an experienced person. I had 9 years of experience before coming here. So I knew a few of the things, to be honest, I knew how to talk, how to be, but for a person, if it is a first time job, I wonder, and then to a new country, new people, it must be very difficult. So I think if there is a support system going on, I had the new hire forum, that worked out really well for me. So yeah, that's how I think about it. So yeah.
Thank you, Jayati, and Mansi as well. Both of you sort of talked about some support services you have received from employers. So that ties well into our next question, which is, what support services have you seen or would like to see from employers that benefit international employees? So Emma, would you like to start with this question?
Yeah, sure. I think the first thing for me personally, I think is leadership training, because as international students, similar to the previous questions, we do have some cultural difference, or sometimes different ways of communication. But for a lot of jobs, it requires daily communication with either consultants, clients, or a lot of other people. And I think it is very important for me to get the kind of guidance and supports from the company to teach me how to communicate professionally to different types of coworkers or different types of consultants, or even like due to different types of contracts, like how do you kind of proceed the work? And I think that's something like you won't really be able to learn from school, and it has to be kind of like trained through the work. And another thing, I think it's the chance of making decisions. As a designer, especially, I think it is very important for me to have some level of autonomy and the ability to kind of make decisions during the design and kind of like completion of the projects. And I think personally, depending on like different types of projects, different type of skills, or different types of like project completion method, it's usually hard for a junior hired for a junior like designer or like junior kind of technician to make like large scale decisions, but it is still good for us to have the chance to kind of like work on like maybe smaller portion of the projects, or starts to like make like the kind of like decisions we can manage. And another thing apparently is work-life balance, as well as like remote work ability. Especially as like as an international student, sometimes I do need to like travel home or like stay at a different country for a relatively longer time. So for me, I think it is very important to have enough like benefit hours, vacation hours, or the ability to like work remotely for a certain period of time when I need. And well, apparently this is probably the last point is not really just for us specifically, it's like benefits and perks. And I think when we graduated out of school, I think a lot of times like the starting salary or starting package is usually like not that great. But I think during the years, like I like how the company could provide like a performance review like every year or like every half year. So there is a chance for us to negotiate and discuss our package and benefits yearly, and then there to give us a chance to kind of like with our professional skills like getting better every year, like we can also like have the chance to negotiate the benefits every year.
Thank you, Emma. Amber, would you like to address this question?
Sure. I quite agree with what Emma said. And like for this point, the first thing I want to talk about would be like onboarding support. So just as Emma talked about like how human resources personnel may come and go. And I do know that at Google, each international employee is assigned with a dedicated legal team member who assists them with their immigration paperwork. So I guess that if an employer can provide assistance with visa sponsorship and, like immigration paperwork to international employees, that would be really helpful. And second, it's quite just as what Emma said about is mentorship programs. So I would say like establishing mentorship programs that pair international employees with experienced colleagues can be highly advantageous. I would say mentors offer guidance, support, and help, navigate cultural nuances and professional challenges and career developments within the organizations. For example, like during my time at CBS, my leader introduced me to USC alumni and a Chinese journalist, which instantly made me feel more connected to the CBS family. And I would say like last but not least, like diversity and inclusion. Employers can foster an inclusive work culture by actively promoting diversity and inclusivity. And this can be achieved through, organizing events or workshops that celebrate different cultures, creating like employee resources groups, and implementing policies that ensure equal opportunities for all employees. I remember that at CBS, we would occasionally have lunch together, introducing each other to local dishes. For example, like my Mexican colleagues took us to the best taco food truck in town, while our Greek colleagues would bring homemade dishes prepared by her grandmothers. And on my last day, we all went to a Cantonese restaurant and enjoyed dim sum together. And overall, I felt like incredibly comfortable in a culture diverse environment. And I think that that's something that maybe all employers can think about doing so as well.
That's great. Thank you so much, Amber and Emma, for sharing those really good examples. So we have one last question for the panelists. The question is, what would motivate you to stay with an employer long term? I'd like to start with Vaidehi this time.
Sure. Thank you so much. So first of all, I think the first thing that's the most important thing for me is the growth and development opportunities. So if my employer provides growth opportunities, learning programs for me, and even career advancement paths, it would be really great and I would really feel valued. And when my learning keeps growing and continues, I would really like to stay with the employer long term. The second thing I can think of is the work-life balance. So as an international student, I would definitely like to go to my hometown and meet my family and spend some time with them. So some remote working hours or flexible working hours would definitely be good for my job satisfaction and would also allow me to spend some time with my family. The third thing I can think of is, as the others mentioned already, the competitive package and also benefits. So there's this one thing that I would like to mention is that as an international student, a lot of us have student loans to pay off. So starting with a very low package might not be really good for us because we have limited time to pay those off. So a competitive package would definitely help us focus on our work in this time. The fourth thing I can think of is the autonomy and decision making that I would get at an employer. So I think having the ability to have certain level of autonomy in my role and being trusted to make important decisions would really create a sense of ownership and sense of responsibility in me. And I'd really like to give an example here that right now at Goldman Sachs, even though I'm an intern, at all projects that go on in the team, everybody really makes it a point to ask for my opinion. And even though at this point, I do not know a lot about the team and even a lot about the organizations, so sometimes the opinions that I give are naive, still they come back and each time make it a point to have my opinion listed. So I think that it's something that would definitely make me feel valued and would motivate me to stay with the employer long term. And again, a good mentor and support system that I find at an employer, if I'm able to create a community in my workplace within my team or the different networks that are provided to me, maybe as an international student, maybe as a woman, those things would definitely encourage me and would create a sense of belonging even at my workplace. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Vaidehi. Mansi, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, +1 on everything that he said. I'm going to talk a little bit more from international student perspective. I think the things that Vaidehi talked about work generally for any person looking to go for a job. They would love to have autonomy, but for international student, I think the top priority for me is going to be visa transparency. I do not want to go into a company, work for 2 years on F1 OPT, and then realize they're not going to file a H1B for me. That visa transparency is the highest priority that I give in any company or employer that I want to stick around for long term. The other thing I think is very important is how do you support your employee to build a network? And I think Vaidehi kind of pointed at it, like we need to provide support systems for our employees to build network, but I think more so not only internal but also external, because sometimes what we want is to not only understand what's going on in our company, but generally in the industry. So for example, if I am, let's say, a semiconductor engineer, and right now there's a lot of talk going about CHIPS Act. So I would like to connect with other people that are in the semiconductor industry, thinking about how CHIPS Act is going to impact their world. So building those networks and bridges across the industry is also very important, and it's going to help both, I think, employee and employer in this case. And yeah, that's all. And I think he kind of covered most of them.
Thank you, Mansi. Emma, would you like to add anything to this question?
Yeah, I think one thing important for me is kind of meaningful work and career growth. I think especially maybe like to my industry, there are a lot of different types of projects and different delivery method for different projects. I think it's actually pretty important for me personally to be able to choose the type of projects I want to participate in and work with a team that I'm more comfortable to work with. Say if you're working on residential, or you're working on higher education, or you're working on public government jobs, the working experience is actually almost completely different. And the experience you could gain from those different types of works are also hugely different. And with maybe architecture field specifically, because we have the license system, and each state in the US has a different jurisdiction, and it has different types of requirements. California has actual requirements, actual jurisdiction, and actual basically different types of work from everywhere else in the world. So for me, it's very important for the employer to provide me the chance to learn and fulfill the type of requirement to get licensed in California specifically. And I think a lot of other points are already mentioned previously, like work-life balance, or recognitions and rewards, as well as kind of more diverse and inclusive culture. So yeah, I think that's for me.
Thank you so much, Emma. And thank you, panelists, for answering all of those questions. I really appreciate your openness, sharing your experience and your ideas. I hope this panel has been very valuable for the attendees. I saw there's another question in the Q&A, so I'd like to address that before we move on to the next part of the summit. So does USC have documents that explain health insurance benefits, 401k, taxes, et cetera, to international students? So I know our Office of International Services has a section on their website about taxes. So, the Office of International Services mostly supports international students while they're still in school. So current F1 students for CPT and OPT, and they also have a page on taxes, and they have free access to an e-tax filing service. But for health insurance benefits, 401k, I think that's another topic that potentially our USC Credit Union has. I know USC Credit Union does workshops on things like that. But I'm also in conversation with a USC international alum who works in finance, who potentially would be interested in doing a workshop on that. So more to come on that, but I think that's a great suggestion. If we're not already doing that, I would like us to do that, because I agree, hearing all of you panelists talk about that, I think that's a really important piece of information that we should be making sure students are equipped with before they graduate. So thank you for asking that question. Okay, so next part, I'm going to try to do this quickly because I want to make sure that we have enough time for our employer speakers. So I wanted to just share a little bit about how USC supports international students and alumni with their careers. So they have access to resources from not only the USC Career Center, but also their school-based career centers for more industry-focused advising. So like Viterbi has their own career center, Marshall has their own career center, Annenberg, et cetera. Some of the smaller schools have smaller career centers, but the USC Career Center also supports all students. We also have a USC China Career Services office based in Shanghai for our students who are seeking employment opportunities in China. So students can come to the Career Center for in-person advising appointments or drop-ins, or they can meet with an advisor virtually via Zoom. We offer advice on job and internship searching, networking, and can assist with resume and cover letter reviews and mock interviews. For specific questions related to student visas or applying for CPT or OPT, students can speak to advisors from USC's Office of International Services or go to their website, which is ois.usc.edu. In an effort to provide our students with 24/7 access to career assistance, the Career Center subscribes to a number of online career resources that USC students can access for free. These include Connect SC, which is the Career Center's proprietary job search platform and resources and events hub for students, alumni, and employers. Interstride and Going Global that I've listed here are both platforms that offer H-1B employer lists and job searching, in addition to educational tools and guides to support students with their international job search. UniWorld is a comprehensive global business database and search engine with detailed contact information for headquarters, subsidiaries, branches, and executives for businesses operating in the US and abroad. And VMock and Big Interview are AI-powered platforms for resume editing and interview prep, respectively. The Career Center also offers workshops throughout the year on topics ranging from job search basics like resume and cover letter building, even specific to international students, and topics like salary negotiation, US work culture, and networking for introverts. Trojan Talks are employer-led workshops or seminars that provide both employers and students with the opportunity to connect face-to-face and learn from one another. My colleague, Erica Rodriguez, who is helping lead this event, is responsible. She and her team are responsible for coordinating Trojan Talks. So if that's something that you're interested in doing here at the Career Center, please feel free to reach out to her. So more information on all of these resources can also be found on our Career Center website, careers.usc.edu, which also serves as a central hub for our students and employers to find career-related information. Lastly, I wanted to give a quick plug for the International Student Virtual Career Fair, which will be held on Wednesday, September 20th. This year, we're going to have 2 time blocks to accommodate employers from different regions of the world. So 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. will be for employers from North America, and 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. will be for employers in the Asia Pacific area. So I can also share a link to that, or maybe Erica can share a link to the event because I can't copy from my PowerPoint right now. But I'd be happy to share that with you if you're interested in attending. So let's move on to our fantastic employer speakers. So our employer speakers are going to talk about their experience with hiring and retaining international talent. First, I'd like to introduce them. So first we have Max Lee. Max is the head of HR at Triple Link. He's an accomplished HR and recruiting leader with a diverse background. Born and raised in China, he made a bold move to the United States in 2017 when he worked for LinkedIn, where he quickly rose to become one of the top global vision HR leaders in Silicon Valley. Max's determination and passion for his field led him to pursue an MBA and a master's degree in data science. Over the course of his 13-year career journey, Max has gained valuable experience across various industries, including consumer goods, retail, AI technology, and real estate. He has worked in sales, marketing, recruiting, and HR functions, providing him with a well-rounded skill set and a unique perspective that sets him apart as a leading HR professional with exceptional business acumen. Beyond his professional pursuits, Max finds joy in exploring his personal interests. He has a deep appreciation for hip hop music and is an avid fan of extreme sports and basketball. With a genuine curiosity for different cultures, Max has traveled to over 50 countries in the last 5 years, constantly seeking new experiences and opportunities to connect with people from diverse backgrounds. Max's dynamic blend of professional expertise, cultural adaptability, and passion for personal growth make him a highly capable HR leader who thrives in a global environment. And next we have Rajeshwar Nityanandan, or Rajesh. So originally from Chennai, India, Rajesh Niti completed his bachelor's degree in biotechnology before making the move to the United States. He pursued a master's degree in molecular microbiology and immunology at the esteemed Keck School of Medicine at USC, and subsequently pursued a PhD from Arizona State University. Presently, Rajesh holds the position of cancer research scientist at Sage Medic, an early stage startup specializing in precision oncology. In addition to his research contributions, he serves as an industrial advisor for Stanford's Spark program and provides mentorship to students at his undergraduate alma mater, SVCE. Rajesh's primary focus lies in advancing precision medicine and empowering emerging scientists. During his free time, he indulges in comparing and evaluating restaurants based on their prices and ratings, offering his valuable insights through his Twitter account at MessyDude. So thank you so much, Max and Rajesh, for being here. I would just like to open the floor, maybe Max first in alphabetical order. Could you share a little bit about what you do to hire and retain international talent and some of the best practices your company has?
Yeah, for sure. I think, thank you so much, Addie, for the invitation. I'm so appreciated and, really kind of, thankful for this platform to share with, students also and the other employers. So for us, I think, we're just rooted from USC, like our founder graduated in 2015 and, connect with all the other like USC students, like 2-3 student founder at that time, decided to do the real estate because of the bad experience of renting out and, rented his first apartment in USC area. So basically, I think, our business started from USC, and our people starting from USC students. So we in 2016 we started our first business to hire a couple of like students to work for us, and then we grow from like 3 people to 200 people in the last 7 years, and our key people are especially executive, the VP, director above. I think more than half of them are from USC. So that's why I think, it's kind of automatic for us to really kind of hire the best people, especially international students. And based on our experiences, it's all quite successful in our company. Although we are kind of more diversified, like, hiring a lot of local guys, from the executive, from the other company, but we still believe in like, when there's USC's campus recruiting, we want to go there to explore them, explore the opportunity, talk with students, and to hire some people have really good potential to work with us to have really fast motion. To be honest, I think we hired a couple of students in like 2-3 years ago, and there's already becoming the director of VP of the company. So you can think about how fast it is regarding the promotion. They got the most, and they also got the really good stock option for us. Last year we raised Series B plus funding was $50 million, and our valuation of the company right now is $300 million. So it's not a small company anymore. And the early kind of USC alumni also enjoy the good returns on financial as well, right? So yeah, I mean, this is kind of the quick intro. Like, I mean, we do real estate, we just, think about like, you guys go to USC area, you can see the triple link logo everywhere. We have student housing, we have co-living space for students, also the young professionals. And then in 2020, in the pandemic, in the first place, we hit by pandemic because there's no international students, to coming in at this time of COVID. But we also pivot our business a little bit to local young professionals to take over property to manage. So if you go to like Koreatown, we already like manage over like 30 properties with the one of the biggest property owners. So like this is like last 2-3 years. And then in 2021, 2022, we got the most exciting things. We're getting our first engineer. He was from Airbnb, and our first data science leader was from Airbnb as well. Our product manager, our director of product, he was from Apple, right? So we wanted to build a next generation property management tool, especially leasing a property management tool for the owners and property management companies. So we were right now, like we are just wanted to raising Series C funding next year, although there's a market is really tough. But our business model is also really appreciated by the investors. And some of the top names, for example, like Ari Yuan from Zoom, the founder and CEO from Zoom, the Alibaba's co-founder wanted to invest in us. So basically, I think we are growing really fast and really appreciated by them, but the business model by them. And so, I mean, how to attract, I think, international students is definitely our topic. Every single year we just, in introducing our like kind of executive from USC to go to school to give school students some speech. Also, like me and my team go to the campus recruiting. We also want them to give us some referrals. It's really important, right? Like, to share us their network. They're just thinking, oh, this student from my school is really good, so you can just hire them to do something. We got a network of USC as well. So and also like trying to participate as much as possible kind of events to make sure our brand image is kind of go out there. And some students also come to us, say, oh, I live in your building, so can you do you have any position for me? So why not, right? We had a lot of students also like they have really good living experience with us. And how to retain, I think, our company is really kind of result driven. We don't do politics. We don't do kind of really kind of the big company things. You have to, be with, really having good relationship with the manager, so you can get promoted. No, we're just result driven. Everybody is kind of, if your kind of your work be evaluated by the company is really good, you get promoted. It's not kind of 1 year's evaluation circles, like 3 months evaluation, 360, but it's more because, you're making impacting projects and you're making company, making more money, and as well as you're making impact to the team, you get promoted. So that's why we get so fast promotion guys in the company, like 3 years as of, working in a company promoted to VP from the analyst level is insane for the other big companies. I mean, for us, I think how to retain the best people, I think we're just, make sure our evaluation system is just rewarding to people who is hardworking, people who really kind of making impact, who are result driven, who are just having a lot of tenacity, right? And this type of people are already becoming the top leader in our company. And our benefits, I think, you guys just mentioned about the benefit for 401k. For a lot of startup in Silicon Valley, I came from Silicon Valley. A lot of people don't offer, especially startup, they don't offer 401k matching. But we are offering that to match 6% of the 401k you're contributing. So for students, I think most of students maybe they don't know it's 401k, but if you are getting retired, you will get a lot of money when you get retirement, and you don't have to worry about the after retirement life. So 401k is definitely, for the student after a couple of years, you get company matching that will, make your money more valuable, right? So we're offering that to every single employee. We also have company free snacks, free fruit, free coffee machine is really good. For some people have some perks. And we have like team building budget for each team every single month. The team leader are going to take the team to a really good restaurant. I just had a really good, our team launch last Friday. That will be really good. We just went to a really kind of fancy restaurant to like treat our people, right? So I mean, we're trying to be as much we can do to make sure our employee can retain and make sure they're just happy at work at work. Although we're really hardworking, as day-to-day basis, but also we are just wanted to be rewarding to people, not just only the promotion track faster than any other company, but also some perks, some benefits. Really enjoy. Yeah, this is what I wanted to share.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, Max. It sounds like, also by using referrals and hiring within USC, you also create this sense of community. That was something our panelists spoke about being essential for wanting to stay long-term and feeling belonging. So thank you for sharing. Yeah. Rajesh, I would love to hear your perspective, being in the research science area, specifically in oncology. What is Sage Medic doing to successfully recruit and retain international talent?
Well, first of all, thank you, Addie, for inviting me for this. And yeah, I'd be happy to give some pointers and also tell you what Sage does to keep international talent. To kind of preface that, I'd like to mention that Sage Medic was started by 2 immigrants from Germany. So they kind of understand the whole visa process and what are the issues that come up for someone who's moving to this country from another place. So they tried really hard to make sure everything goes as smooth as possible. And some of the key things are, making sure the visa stuff is done. It's really important because I've seen some cases where startups have no idea how to do a H-1B process or do the OPT or any other for J-1 visa. So they really don't have any clue about how to do it. It's not because they don't want to do it. It's just they're not aware of the situation. So kind of working with the company, if you're joining a startup, is to understand if they have had any experience, hiring international students and working with them on their visa, because there have been many horror cases with lawyers not being able to do the application properly, and that really messing up the application. So since Sage Medic had the background from the founders, they really kind of make sure all the paperwork is done on time. And another important thing international students need to know is companies need to be e-verified for them to basically work for them during their OPT. So kind of make sure that the company is, e-verified, and if it's not, it's actually a super easy process for them to do it. It probably takes less than a week for them to get e-verified. So kind of working with them and getting the e-verification done is really important. And I think there was some topic about compensation. In some cases, bigger companies definitely can provide a lot more compensation compared to startups. But some advantages that you get from startups is that you get stock options or shares, which, if the company succeeds, the payout is going to be much, much higher. So your cash amount might be lower than what you'd get at a bigger company, but the payoff, if the company succeeds, would be much, much higher. Luckily, so Sage Medic, apart from the cash amount, they also provide really good benefits. As Max mentioned, the 401k match is really important. It's 3 to 6% of whatever. So you can put 3% of your from your salary, and the company will basically match it. And that's over a period of time, that's going to be a lot of money. And the other important thing for Sage is, since they're from Germany, they really, and both of them are doctors, so they really want people to have free healthcare. So pretty much the monthly premium for the insurance is paid for by the company, so you don't have to pay out of your own pocket. And it covers medical, eye, and dental as well. So that's something that's really important with the cost of healthcare here. It's really nice to have your premium paid, and yeah, the insurance is really nice as well. And the other thing is that I think for students, I would say to kind of maintain talent is to make sure that the company has a nice culture, and Sage really tries to keep the culture in the company really good. Like they don't want any toxicity. You're not trying to compete with your coworkers. You're trying to work together to build a company. It's not whether you're going up in your career, but it's more everyone together grows and the company succeeds. So you'd ideally want to work for a company like that, where everyone succeeds together and it's not about one person, it's about the collective. So Sage really tries to hire and keep people who have that mentality. And I think that's the most important in maintaining talent, right? Whether it's local or international, because nobody wants toxicity at their workplace. So that's something that I found to be really nice about Sage, and there are of course a lot of other companies that do that as well. As for, I think the other key thing is visa. There are like 3 different options international students can take. So we currently have someone who's working on their OPT period. They just started their 12-month OPT, and we'd be doing their STEM extension as well. That's pretty common for students who come on their F1 visa status. In some cases where people have probably used up their OPT, they're back in India after graduation or something like that, or any other country, Sage also hires them on a J1 visa, or if they've never come to the US before, but they still found someone. We had one of my coworkers who came here as an intern from Italy, and then she was brought back on a J1 visa. And then in the future, she'd be like basically transferring over to a H1B. That's just on the basis of the time requirements. You need to do the application by April. So if someone's joining after that, the alternative option was the J1 visa. And finally, the H1B, I think that's the one that you really need to be careful about, because it's really dependent on the lawyers. So make sure you're working with the best lawyers. If the company does not have its own lawyers, you can ask someone who's from your country, who's previously worked with some lawyer to do their H1B visa application, and probably recommend that specific lawyer to the company. That way, things are going to get done properly, instead of making use of a lawyer who's probably not had experience with this. And then I think, so until recently, we had been only hiring from the local area in like Silicon Valley. But after I joined, I kind of convinced them that, hey, USC has a lot of talent. So we recently attended USC's Career Fair, I think maybe it was September, October, if I'm not wrong. And we look forward to attend more career fairs at USC, and think we got a really nice response the previous time. So we're looking forward to more such career fairs.
Thank you so much, Rajesh. Yes, absolutely. We always love to have you at our career fairs, and I'm really happy. Yeah, I'm happy to hear about all the things that you're doing at Sage Medic to support international talent and all the different pathways that they can take. So that's really great to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just one more thing to add. I think for students, I would recommend reaching out to USC alumni on LinkedIn. Let's say you have a company that you're interested in, try to find them, ask them if they can meet you for coffee or something, and then kind of talk to them about the company and what they think about it. Don't ask them for referral immediately, but to kind of build a rapport with them, and that's kind of the best way to get a job interview. Really building a connection with some of your alumni, and USC's one of its best strengths has been its alumni. So yeah, definitely reach out to them, and it's going to help you a lot in your career.
Thanks for sharing that, Rajesh. You took the words right out of my mouth, because that's something I tell our international students all the time is, use the Trojan network. That USC's alumni network is the strongest in the country, I will say. And we have, LinkedIn alumni, you can reach out to them there, but we also have a platform called the Trojan Network, where USC students and alumni are allowed to join, and they can connect with one another. So yeah, I'm always telling students to network and make connections in your industry, find someone who could be an informal mentor for you. So thanks for sharing. Find the career fair. If you don't use the link directly that Erica shared, you can go to employers on our, so it's our careers.usc.edu website, go to employers, attend a career event, and then it will show you the list of events that are coming up, and it will say International Student Virtual Career Fair. You can click on that, and then there's a button that says, click here to attend. So you click that, it'll take you into Connect SC, where you can create an account and register for the International Student Virtual Career Fair. Oh, we have a question. So Deanna asks, what is the timeline for hiring your company for graduates graduating in December 2023 and for those looking for internships for summer 2024? Max and Rajesh, would you like to answer that question?
Could you repeat that, Addie?
Yeah, what is the timeline for hiring for your company for students who are graduating in December 2023 and for those looking for internships for summer 2024? When do you start the hiring process?
We have a rolling application, like people can reach out to us at any time. We had someone join us, they were graduating in March and they applied in Feb, I think they reached out like mid-Feb, and by the time they graduated, they already had the offer. So so we try to be quick. Like if we really like the candidate, we kind of try to push the application through. And yeah, like people have reached out to it like 6-7 months in advance for summer internship. So we don't have like specific timings. You can always feel free to reach out to us at any time. And we'll have our interview process. Then if you like it, we have the interview process, and then we can move forward with the application.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and for us, I think similar. You know, we don't specifically only hire like, you know, summer graduate students or like winter graduate students. It's more like, you know, I just wanted to emphasize on the visa application, right? Especially the CBT and OPT. I mean, it's something we're just really kind of struggle with, especially like OPT and CBT are really slow to apply right now. Like some student waiting for like half a month, or 1.5 months or 2 months, even like 3 months to get the CBT and OPT. Then we are just, you know, we cannot just hire them as soon as possible, right? Because they don't have the visa. So basically, I think, you know, when you get a chance, you have to like, you know, immediately apply for that in order to make sure like everything is going well, and especially the speed of application is fast. You know, I mean, so I talked with a lot of students lately, and we keep on delaying the onboarding days because of that. For BT, I think we got premium process, right? CBT, no. So yeah, I mean, that's really important for us to hire any students, you know, at the timeline. So yeah, if you graduate and end of this year, but you don't get OPT until like January, we only can hire you in January. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Max, and mentioning that point. I think something just to be aware of, you know, if you are starting recruiting early for the summer, students can actually, international students can apply for OPT as early as 3 months prior to the end of their program. So we always encourage students to do that so that there isn't that delay between, you know, when they graduate and when they have their permission to work in the US.
Sometimes I think student wanted to like confirm the offer first and then to apply, you know, to make max of that. Yeah. So I mean, but for us, I think it's a dilemma. I totally understand why students not doing that as early as possible. But at the same time, like, you know, we're just, you know, when they got an offer, they cannot be onboarding, you know, but the you know, the urgency of the roles hiring is kind of, for us, is kind of quick. You know, we have to onboard these people as soon as possible. If you have similar people, you know, we have to wait for 2 months, and the other people like don't have the visa issue. But they're similar, like, you know, maybe US student 10% better than that guy. Maybe we'll hire people don't have the visa issue. So that's the something we are taking into consideration as well.
Yeah, I can also add to that. So my first offer after graduating from USC, I lost the offer because my OPT took 4 months to get approved. Because I had waited until I got the offer to basically do the application, and it took 4 months, which is way longer than the usual 2 months. And I lost the offer because of that. Because someone else was hired during that time. But yeah, it's really hard to kind of say whether you apply early or you wait until the offer. It's a dilemma, but yeah, kind of have to play around it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Do we have any?
Especially you have 3 years. Most of the students have 3 years right now. Like, back to like 4 years ago, a lot of major don't have 3 years, only have 1 year. So that will be a lot of struggle. Like you apply for a BT, the timing will be really, really important for students. But now I think, the really bad thing is like the H-1B lottery. If you don't have 3 years, we normally cannot hire 1 year OPT student right now. Since one time to do the lottery, it's almost impossible to get selected, right? So I mean, this is also challenging for employer as well. If we hire international students, but they only have 1 year OPT, we probably will skip the students. But 3 years is better. But I mean, this time of year, last year, I think this year's H-1B lottery will only get 20% of the selection rate. Is really low compared with all like years before. So I mean, 3 years is much better, but it's also like H-1B process is becoming tougher and tougher. And so that's also the reason we're considering to yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Max. Yeah, I think for the 1 year OPT, a lot of students have a hard time finding jobs. But I think that's good for employers who are in those industries to have backup options for the students who don't win the lottery, including like if you're a research institution, maybe trying for the J1 visa, like Rajesh mentioned, or recently I heard about a company called Mob Squad, which provides backup options for employers whose candidates don't win the lottery. They actually allow the candidate to move to Canada, and they set up a company for them. So they're working in Canada and getting a green card in Canada, but they can still work remotely for that company. So there are more of these backup options to consider. And I just recommend kind of educating yourself as an employer if you're in those types of industries on, what those backup options can be. Okay, we have another question. How would you encourage students to answer the question, do you need sponsorship now or in the future? If you have 3 year OPT on the application and you can only answer yes or no. Yes, so thank you for asking that question. It's very important that I know that, students might think, oh, if I answer no to this question, then I'll have a better chance that an employer will want to read my application and hire me. But ultimately, that is falsifying your application, because ultimately, if you are on an F1 visa, you do require some form of sponsorship, whether it's from your university for CPT or OPT, or from the employer for H-1B to be able to work in the US. So the answer should always be yes to that question, because you don't want to end up in a situation where, employer gives you an offer and then they find out, oh, actually, you do require sponsorship. They can be very upset by that. Potentially, they will rescind the offer, but also potentially blacklist you, and it'll be a waste of everyone's time. So I always tell students that they have to answer yes to that question.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, we are just about almost at 11:30, so I'm gonna go ahead and just share a last couple slides. So for more information, if you want to continue this conversation, or if you have any additional follow-up questions, you can reach out to me at ariadnec@usc.edu, or our employer engagement team for questions around Trojan Talks, on-campus recruiting, our career fairs. The email address is ocr@usc.edu. And this QR code is also the Career Center's link tree that has all of our website, our social media, so you can follow us. I will say our Instagram account is always fun to follow. We don't just talk about career, we also have some fun campaigns. Like the cutest pet competition that we did last fall or last spring, that was pretty fun. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for attending the summit today. Thank you to our wonderful student and alumni panelists and our employer speakers. Your perspective has been so helpful and informative, and I just really appreciate your time in joining us today. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Erica, for this wonderful
you.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Don.
Bye, Don.
Yay.